Howdy, howdy, this is Mr. Potter. You may remember in your algebra class, your math teacher made a big deal about FOIL. What is FOIL? FOIL stands for first, outside, inside, and last. But why is it so important that we teach it, and where do we actually use this in real life? So we learned FOIL in the context of multiplying a binomial times a binomial. So for example, I've got 2x plus 3 times the binomial 5x plus 4. And of course, when I look at first, outside, inside, and last, I'm going to start by multiplying what comes first, 2x times 5x, which gives us 10x squared. And then I'm going to multiply my outside part, 2x times 4, which is 8x. And then I'm going to take my inside part, and that's 3 times 5x, which is 15x. And then finally I take what comes last. 3 times 4 is 12. And I'm going to add all these terms together. Now, of course, my algebra teacher made a big deal about like terms. I have apples and oranges, apples mixed with apples, oranges mixed with oranges. So this 10x squared doesn't match with anything else, so I'm going to have 10x squared. 8x and 15x are going to combine to make 23x. And then I've got this 12. And so when I multiply a binomial times a binomial, I often got a trinomial out of it. 10x squared plus 23x plus 12. Great. This is what I learned back in Algebra I. How do I use this in real life? Well, let's pretend x is 10. So now instead, I've got 20 plus 3, or 23. And I've got 50 plus 4, or 54. And I want to multiply these two numbers. FOIL still works. So if I take 20 times 50, my first, 2 times 5 is 10, and another 0, and another 0, I end up with 1,000. If I take my outer, 20 times 4, that's 80. And if I take my inner, 3 times 50, that's 150. And then, of course, last, I'm going to have 3 times 4, which is 12. Which means if I wanted to take 23 times 54, all I'm going to have to do is figure out what 1,000 plus 80 plus 150 plus 12 is. Well, I know that 80 and 150 is 230. So if I add that to 1,000 and I add that to 12, I'm going to end up with 1,242. And if I multiply these numbers together, I'm going to get 1,242. Great. So, but that's still a lot of work. Well, let's take it a little bit different. Instead of dealing with FOIL, let's talk about LOIF. In other words, let's do the last first. What is 8 times 1? Well, 8 times 1 is 8. Let's take a look at this inner. 8 times 6 is 48. So I know I'm going to need a 48, but really this is 8 times 60. There's really a 0 here that we just don't really talk about. Similarly, if I take a look at my outer, 4 times 1, that's really 4, but it's really 40 times 1. So that's really 40. And when I add these together, 48 and 4, that's going to be 52, but it's really 520. So I'm going to write the 2, and in my mind, I'm going to carry the 5. Now I'm going to take care of this f. So f's in the chat for 4 times 6. 4 times 6 is 24. But keep in mind, this 24 really is 40 times 60, so there's really 2 phantom zeros hanging out here. Notice that my tens place and my ones place already have an answer. And I'm carrying a 5. This 5 was really in the hundreds place, so 24 plus 5 is 29. And so I have a way of multiplying numbers, but I didn't really have to write any of this stuff. And I could have kept that in my head, that carry the 5. So this actually gives us a pretty good way of multiplying numbers in our head. Now, if you were really good in math, you may remember your 12z's. So I know that 12 times stuff is going to give me some good numbers. So let's try this out. 3 times 8 is 24. I'm going to write down the 4 because that's my units. That's my ones place. And I'm going to carry the 2 in my head. I'm going to do the outside and inside now. Now 12 times 8. 12 times 8. I know my 12z's, that's 96. 96 plus 3 times 3, which is 9. So 96 and 9 is 105. And I'm carrying this 2, so that's really 107. I'm going to write down the 7, and I'm going to carry the 10. And now I'm going to take care of first. 12 times 3 is 36, and I'm carrying 10, so 36 and 10, that's 46. And so when I multiply 123 times 38, I'm going to get 4,674. So why did we learn FOIL in Algebra 1? We learned it because it's an excellent way to multiply things, not just binomials, but actually multiplying real-world numbers together. And it's a real convenient way of doing it in our head. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.